So we are discussing the most important part of the mentorship process. How do you get to 20 here and 30 here? Okay. In terms of getting to 20, we are using one important technique called elimination. Elimination is easier than selection, obviously. So we use some level of for you to select an answer, you need depth. Okay? For you to eliminate an answer, you need width. Width can happen very fast. It can happen very fast. So that's why we're using width to eliminate some answers and we'll use depth to select some answers. This is enough for you to score 20 plus an MCQ. Okay? And the next important aspect is how do you get to 30? Descriptive. So 30, if you look at it in a certain way, it should be doable. 30 by 70, what is there? But the reality is, as a chartered accountant final student, as a CA final student, it can happen, but there is a chance that it won't happen for a lot of people. Now today we're fixing it. Now what is the reference point? A reference point is not suggested answers because nobody can write suggested answers. But the best reference point is a topper's copy because ICS says this is exactly the best answer we have received. So we're looking into two copies right now. The one is linked to audit who has scored 61 in audit. Okay, 61 audit. And second, on the screen, we are looking at a copy which is 61 AFM. So we're looking at both. One is audit and AFM. 61 and AFM. Clear. So for this to happen, you have the yellow pages. This will have a very separate discussion. And then you have some white pages. So when you get this white sheets, how do you process everything and how do you convert this into something tangible and meaningful? This is what we're looking at. So for this, there is a 3-step process. Okay. The first thing, once you go into the examination hall, you also have to understand this works only when you're in a calm and controlled state of mind. Only when your mind is calm and composed, this works. If that is not the case, this would not even apply. So before you think of doing this, you always have to stay very calm, composed, well rested. So that's another thing which I have to talk to a couple of people here. But right now, unless you are reasonably rested, you cannot focus. You find it very hard to pay attention. So once you get the question paper, okay, you have to process. That's called processing. Okay, so processing is the first step. Now processing ability depends on multiple aspects. Something as fundamental as your English understanding. How good are you with Angrezi? Forget about AFM and audit. How good are you with it? Now you can instantly cannot solve it, but if you have a lexicon of certain words, those words can help you to get the crux of the question very fast. Right? So that is something which you can do. So first is in terms of processing the paper, how fast can you read? This is reading speed. Reading speed is reasonably important. Just because you have to read fast, if you miss out the important aspects, you'll miss out. So reading fast, let's say your ability to identify what is the most important information, what is very important. How do you get to the executive summary of the question? Let's say if this question is there, 2 pages is the question, right? So there is only one thing. You have to discuss the treatment of observations. So for you to know the treatment of the above observations, you have to go through all of this. It has numbers, it has text, it has some hidden information which is not clearly evident. So this is where the concept of processing comes into the picture. Processing is the first aspect, processing, right? So processing is something which you have to start building every single day. You have to understand your syllabus completion is not going to help you with processing. Let's say when you pick up this textbook, when you're trying to learn a chapter, for the same chapter, when you're completing this chapter, the nature of your preparation is, let me invest 9 hours into this chapter. Then you learn the chapter. But when it actually comes into the application, the crux of that 9 hours has to be done in 9 minutes. So you're used to study a chapter in 9 hours. but you're not used to process the chapter in a way that you can apply in just 9 minutes, right? So processing is something which is not going to happen automatically. It cannot happen automatically. You have to do it consciously. So in the every stage of your preparation, you have to start paying attention to processing, right? So that is why you always have to do question paper processing. So this is a separate task altogether. No amount of preparation will help you to improve your processing. You have to do it separately. Okay, this is one. So let's say you process the question paper. Step number one, you process the question paper, you practice and all. Before you start writing the answer, before you start writing the answer or recognizing the answer in the MCQs, you have to recall. This is where your preparation helps, okay? This is where your syllabus completion and revision. Revision is not recall. Revision is you revisiting the topic. Recall is you pulling out that information, okay? So recall, revision is important for recall, but revision is not recall. So for you to process a paper, you have to process both yellow paper and white paper, MCQs and descriptive. You have to process both. That has to be done. And you have to recognize MCQs and you have to use application descriptive. Okay, for both of this, recollection is important. Recollection, for this, you have day and revision, previous day recall, overall 5-time revision technique, FTR. So these are the steps you have for this. Now in terms of application, this is exactly the game changer because these two you're always learning. Now when it comes to application, these people have already done it well. So today we're trying to learn how are they applying this? How did they actually apply? So when somebody is struggling to score 11 out of 70, 10 out of 70, 21 out of 70, how can this guy score 61 by 70? Now if you say that AFM is easy, audit, no, they are two different papers. But the thing is, somebody is able to score 61 by 70, cannot get half of them. Your classmate, like, right? In school, when your classmate is scoring X, if you're not even trying to get half of it, isn't it insulting? Somebody is scoring 60. Let's get 30. Can you do this? 30 by 70. Okay. This is the nature of the discussion. I hope the context is clear. So in the preparation, irrespective of your syllabus completion, irrespective of your revision, you have to consciously focus on processing. How is processing happening? So you have to have a bunch of question papers for processing. Answers are not required. Bunch of question papers. You summarize it, will teach you how to do processing, but you should always have a bunch of question papers for processing. This is done. Recall every single day, day and recall, previous day recall, and just explaining with study buddy. Done. And application, once you know how to apply, that is what you have to start practicing it. This is what will improve the way you practice on a daily basis. Is this clear? Okay, so this concludes the first part of the video. Yeah, done.